Hi, it's Ileana. So today we are going to look at remote viewing the ancient builder race basis in inner Earth. We're starting with the paper sessions for target ID ABR 4434-1E8848. This was a blind target that was assigned to me by a tasker, and later on it was also assigned to David Powell to do as a second remote viewing, which will be shown in 3 parts for the whiteboard sessions for his results. And we're starting with the paper session for my results of this target. The ancient builder race bases are not easy to find. There are 40 ancient builder race bases on Earth. Hidden complex energy signatures associated with the bases. The ancient builder race bases are constructed in grid networks with dome-structured bases on Earth. So there's dome-structured bases on Earth and other places on various moons in the Milky Way galaxy. There are a canopy of the bases which have dome structures which extend with underground networks having elevator systems going deep down to inner Earth. These are called deep Earth elevators. The dome bases are invisible. There are large towers that have strong energy shielding outputs which make the ancient builder race bases invisible. These towers are termed as energy frequency towers. Earth military wants to have access to the ancient builder race bases, which are located on planet Earth and other moons that are nearby. The ancient builder race bases with the deep Earth elevators are like a stepladder to accessing inner Earth. Layers of scaffolding material is protecting the ancient builder race bases on various moons in the Milky Way galaxy. Inner Earth has dimensional pocket worlds that branch off to the different cities and civilizations living in various parts of inner Earth domains. And this is what the first image looked like of the ancient builder race bases with the domes on the top portion and the deep Earth elevators going underground into inner Earth dimensional pocket worlds to access those, and the energy frequency towers. And these towers make the bases invisible. It's hidden complex energy signatures. That was the first image from the ideogram that I was getting. And the first thing came in was ancient builder race bases, so that's what I went with for this target. And also inner Earth came up with the pocket worlds, dimensional pocket worlds. So that then we have a look at the other parts of the paper sessions for the target. The ancient builder race are a species of Venusians that come from the planet Venus that had built a series of grid systems of network bases and several moons in the Milky Way galaxy, and had terraformed as well as built moons from scratch with hollowed out parts to house the bases and make it look like the moons are naturally made in order to camouflage the network of bases. Ancient builder race spaceships are powered by plasma and can open time dilation portals to other dimensions and galaxies. The ancient builder race ships themselves had plasmatic cores, and the spaceships were sphere-shaped and would travel together in colony city formations as part of large fleets. So the sphere home ships were interconnected by space platform systems that kept all the sphere ships together. These large plasmatic-powered sphere ships could separate from the moving platform systems and could travel on their own as exploration vessels in space, then dock back with the platforms to integrate with the rest of the fleets. Ancient builder race civilization from Venus has light blue skin, striped striation markings on the skin, and also the normal humanoid pale skin color for both the males and the females. They have white hair and eye colors that range from blue, green, and golden. The Venusian ancient builder race heights range from 8 feet tall to 10 feet tall. The Venusian ancient builder race had built domed cities on Venus, with the domes protecting the cities from bombardment by asteroids, comets, meteorites, and energy beam weapons. Some of the domed cities still exist today on Venus. These domes were built from a green translucent crystalline material that is almost impossible to destroy, and that is that crystalline material that we will see again for these domes when we get closer to another part of the remote viewing. The crystalline domes appear several times as being important in this remote viewing. Venusian ancient builder race had used their plasmatic sphere ships to create a solar system-wide energy grid line shield to prevent negative factions from completely breaching the planetary systems so that planets cannot be blown up. The plasmatic sphere ships are embedded in many of the domed bases of the ancient builder race on the various moons to continue to maintain the energy shield grid network, keeping out predatory species of ETs intent on planetary destructions. So I guess what they did is they took some of these plasmatic sphere ships and embedded them in the domed bases on several of the moons that have these bases, and kind of put a shield network grid systems to keep these moons and planetoids from being destroyed. The Venusian ancient builder race had created and built very ancient bases inside most of the moons in our local solar system. These bases were built on a massive scale. And there was several moons that came up, like Miranda, Mimas, and other ones in this particular remote viewing that I felt drawn to look at. In particular, also the moon of Tethys, and there was Enceladus, and basically Iapetus, the moon Iapetus. So I looked at 5 different moons because I felt a sense of I need to go out into space beyond Earth, and I need to look at where are these ancient builder race bases. Yes, there's 40 on Earth, but there's several more outside the Earth on the various moons of Saturn and Uranus. So the first moon we're going to look at is the moon Miranda, which is one of Uranus's smaller moons. It has triangular, rectangular, and various geodesic structures on it that look like base facilities, which are part of the ancient builder race network grid systems to protect the planetary bodies from being destroyed. Behind the moon Miranda, there's another larger geodesic structure that is part of the bridgework systems that keep planets and moons in sync orbits, creating stabilized planetary functionality so the planets do not drift far apart from the moons. It is easier to keep planets in the habitable zones when there are geodesic structures supporting the orbital zones of planets so the planets do not spin out too far from proper orbital alignments. Usually the geodesic structures are behind the planets and between moons, so they are not seen by satellites. NASA has photographed and cataloged the various anomalies happening on the various moons where ancient builder race bases are built. So NASA is well aware of this and has been for almost a decade, I guess. what, 10, 20 years, maybe more. And then we're going to look at the moon of Mimas. When coming to the Saturn moon system, the moon Mimas looks like a man-made structure with a huge crater door opening leading to a vast network of structures within the moon. The Mimas moon crater has a temperature hotspot, which is unusual, and on the left side of the moon there is more temperature heat spike signatures, making it look like there are active base facilities within the moon and the crater, so some of the ancient builder race bases could still be functional with beings living there. So there is this large crater on the moon Mimas, and that crater doesn't look like just a standard crater, because the other moons have it too. So it leads to mapping and looking at the structures of the moons with hotspots that there's bases there. And the lights are still on. Somebody's still there. They're functional. That is what this remote viewing was showing me. With a part of Mimas being hollowed out, so Mimas has parts of it that are hollowed out, with a part of Mimas being hollowed out inside where the ancient builder race civilization is living within the base facilities is exactly where the port entrance is to one of these facilities through the crater. Mimas is concealed for what the structure really is, so it looks like a moon. There's hotspots on Mimas, and when there's hotspots, it's usually not from something that's very natural, because temperature on a moon, what can be making temperature? It's not the moon itself that naturally creates a lot of hotspots. There's something inside of it that is warming it up. And from the heat spikes, it looks like a facility of some sort. So there's even images of these hotspots. And I looked at that later on after the remote viewing was completed. There is a habitable zone within Mimas with the hollowed out areas that are off on two sides. So for example, if you are flying your ship around in each one of these two parts, then you have a sky, and the sky is probably against where the dome of the moon is. So a civilization could build an artificial roof there and use the natural curvature of the moon, and then the flat part is the flat land areas where everyone is living on, the beings. But then, because you cannot make the whole thing flat, the ancient builder race had to do two parts of the moon action. So you put these two parts together. So if you are that civilization and you're flying around in your craft, and then you fly through the mouth of the heat signature, where that heat signature is, then you actually have to bend around this aspect. There are places around inside the moons in our solar system with very elaborate civilizations living there. So they are making an artificial sky, artificial clouds, artificial sunlight. They have evergreen trees. They have rivers and lakes. They have mountains and beautiful architecture. Imagine this. There's domes inside moon systems. These domes are protected by some kind of a crystalline substance or an energy field technology. So these beings can live within a moon and through the crater system come in and out of it. And it looks like a moon, but with some weird parts on it, which makes it camouflaged and makes you wonder, really? Is it a normal moon or is it something else? Because there's bits and pieces that show there's something a little different about these 5 moons, and this is what this is. So these beings, the ancient builder race, can live very comfortably in these types of base facilities or cities, even if there are damaging events that take place, for example, from the sun, such as a coronal mass ejection. The base facilities are kept warm and they have the lights turned on. So they're they're able to survive even cataclysmic events. They're underground. They're inside the moon. They're shielded, so they're not being affected. That's why these civilizations and these bases can still exist to this day. Saturn's moon, Tethys, has a similar type of a heat signature and a crater port entrance as the moon Mimas, which suggests that there is a vast internal civilization where the flat parts from the inside of the mouth close to the crater is where everyone is living, and where the dome ceiling exists is where the artificial lighting is located. Because there's a dome and a roof, and things can open up and close up internally, so it's protected. It's smart to build facilities inside a moon and live there and not be affected by anything that's going on outside on the surface of the moon or on other planets. Another interesting point is Saturn's moon Enceladus, where in the South Pole there is a square structure that looks artificial, as well as our moon has a similar square there, which suggests that there is a vast network of intelligently designed architectures that have been placed on both of the moons. The square spot on the Enceladus moon has an extremely large hotspot in temperatures. This is where the base facility would logically be. There is a geometric layered pattern on the square hotspot on Enceladus that shows a grid work square perimeter. So you look at this moon, you look at its hotspot, there is a geometric layered pattern on the square hotspot of Enceladus that shows a grid work square perimeter that includes having right angle turns on the structure, or as it is called, rectilinear geometry. It looks like long corridors were made, then you have long hallways where people can go through, and there are rooms built out. The hallways organize everything. It's all organized in a square, as this was the way that the base was built. Like, it's a square grid pattern, as they had dug out the tunnels inside the moon. They are keeping the base warm, hence the hotspot. The hotspot is still active today. The tunnels are all at right angle turns to each other because there's tunnel systems within the moon. When LiDAR, radar, or thermal images are taken of actual underground Earth bases, it looks to be similar to what is being shown on Enceladus. This also looks the same because, they dig out the bases in long corridors. The corridors are right angle turns, and you get hotspots where they belong. So this is exactly what it should look like if there is a base somewhere underground inside a moon, like for example in Enceladus. And if you build these kind of bases inside, they can be rectangular. That's why it looks the same. And they can be covered up by a dome structure to protect it. So you have your base, then you have it covered up by a dome system. Boom, there it is. And that's been repeated on several moons on Earth, and it's quite interesting. Then we have a look at another moon, Iapetus, which is one of Saturn's moons. It looks like a spheroid moon, and it has a rim along its side with a crater that looks like a port entrance to something. Again, repeating the same structure architecture. It seems that Iapetus is starting to collapse on itself somewhat, and it looks to be hollow inside. The ring that is right along Iapetus's equator and the various craters that look like port entrances, these are signs that this moon is artificially made. There should not be a ring along Iapetus's equator. This ring is very tall, and it seems to have 3 bands like a strip. The ring is a prominent feature, and it is placed exactly at the point of the rotational equator, and it goes on throughout at least half of the whole moon, and it goes on throughout at least half of the whole moon, with it being over 60 miles long. Why would there be a huge ring throughout half of this moon? Okay, well, if you meld two parts together, what do you get? You get a moon. You put two halves of something together, you can make an artificial moon, and it's joined at the seams with something. This ring feature is described as a stunning landform called the belly band, being 2,000 kilometers long as a ridge or chain of mountains exactly aligned along the equator, and being up to 20 kilometers high depending on the selection of reference and radius. There is a narrow peak residing on a broader bulge. This looks artificial. Despite what NASA says, it is not a huge mountain range along this equator. It's a ring. It's a band system joining two halves together to make an artificial moon. It does not look natural when it's looked at. It doesn't look like a mountain system or a mountain range. It looks like someone built and put two halves of the moon together for a specific purpose or a reason. Iapetus has a reflection of a geometric form with indentations which are reflected by the sun. This has a straight line feature. So this has a straight line feature about it and an angular look to it, suggesting that there are giant rebars inside this moon, which is hollow. And the rebars is what is supporting the surface. The moon has flat geometry that should not be there, and what looks like a possible control tower on its surface. Iapetus is not a sphere, yet has straight lines along its surface, which is unusual. It indicates that this is not a natural moon, and that it was built out and hollowed from the inside by something with advanced technology for the purposes of having structures placed on this moon. And it seems, when it was photographed, it seems to have what looks like towers. In the beginning of the remote viewing, I saw that there's huge towers that make the domed bases invisible. So at the beginning of this remote viewing, there were towers. So it's not surprising to me that these towers would come up on a different moon system outside of Earth. So that is interesting. And again, the way Iapetus was built suggests that a geometric framework was needed to hold it together. And it's using advanced technology. Iapetus's internal geometric structure resembles that of a truncated isohedron or a Buckminster fullerene. This is typical of a geometric structure that is extremely strong, that could be built simply with rebar, and that would be able to support a hollow structure on the inside. The Buckminster fullerenes are very strong and are good at insulating the material that is inside them. That's what I got the feeling of. Eventually, the substructure, which is the Buckminster fullerene, would be covered with dirt and regolith to mask it as a more naturally looking moon, even though it is artificially made. The reason it would be masked is the idea that the moon should be cloaked from one's enemies, since if someone is in a time of war, if you may, then they don't want people to find them, so no one wants to make it too obvious what the moon really looks like. And I had a drawing of various moons having rings in the middle of them, or rings with several bands, or a square spot with weird right angles. Why would you get that? So I was getting moons with hidden bases: Miranda, Mimas, Tethys, Enceladus, and Iapetus. I was getting that there's hotspots on some of these moons that have square grid lines, and hotspots with right angle built structures. I was getting moon structures being built, which I guess is this Buckminster fullerenes. That's what I was drawing. And I was getting man-made moons, not natural. I was getting moons with rings in the middle of them, like two parts were put together. Crater port entrances to base facilities. And so when I got this image, I tapped each one of these 5 moons to see what's there. And that's what's there. These things are there, seem to be there. And I was like, okay, sure. Okay, that looks interesting. To me, what I see in remote viewing, I must later go and investigate, like do research after the remote viewing is completed. So I went online and I got images of these moons. This is Miranda. And yeah, it looks very strange, like there's geometric structures on this moon, and it doesn't look organic or natural. It looks like somebody carved something out and built stuff there. And that's just like the surface of this moon. That's what NASA photographed. And here we go. We come to Mimas, and it has this weird crater, and it has heat signatures, like a huge heat sink signature on one half of that moon, which does not look normal at all. And Tethys has that same feature of a hotspot and a crater where you can go inside the moon, and there's a base facility. So this is Mimas, but this huge hotspot and this huge crater. Like, not all moons have these types of hotspots and craters, only some that likely have these bases there. Ancient builder race bases. Again, this is Tethys, and it has this same crater on Tethys, and it has a hotspot even bigger than Mimas. On one half of the moon, actually more than half of the moon, but that's what's there, and NASA has photographed this. These are actual photos of these moons from NASA with these heat signatures, measurements. You can't fake that. And this is Tethys and Mimas side by side with these crater entrances, these what looks like ports to facilities of some sort inside. You go through the crater, you enter, there's a base facility on the other side of that. And it looks like Death Star. It looks like a huge thing, like Death Star in Star Wars. The Mimas and Tethys moons look like huge starships, like huge spheroid starships, or a Death Star, if you think of Star Wars. It's quite obvious something about these moons is a little, well, interesting. And that's what it looks like. And Enceladus on the South Pole has this huge square spot in the middle of it. That square spots shouldn't be in the middle of moons. And again, it's not a mountain range. It's some kind of a square spot with right angles going through it, which again, usually right angles indicate some kind of a man-made structure that is more artificial than natural. So that is Enceladus. And I, on purpose, went after doing this remote viewing to get images of everything that I was describing in this remote viewing. Because again, for me, Remote viewing is great. You get a lot of info, you get some images that you draw by hand, but then if there's images of these moons, if NASA has indeed photographed them, it would be nice to get some of these weird features in photographs. That is Iapetus, and it does indeed have that weird ring thing in the middle of it. Like two halves of the moon were put together, and that's what ended up being there, like melded. Two halves together, hollowed out, and it also too has that weird crater thing going for it. So that's that. And then what I did was I modeled out these moon systems. What are these moons like? What's there? So the 5 moons having potentials of ancient builder race bases. Basis on the Mimas moon. Mimas is one of Saturn's moons and is known for its distinctive appearance due to the large impact crater called Herschel, which gives it a resemblance to the Death Star from Star Wars. In terms of human bases or extraterrestrial colonization, Mimas presents several aspects for what looks like configurational points and how it can be settled. Surface conditions. Mimas is covered in ice and has extremely cold temperatures, making it a harsh environment for human habitation. Gravity. So Mimas' surface conditions, very cold, so you would need something in a base facility that is well insulated. Gravity. It has very low gravity, which could pose challenges for long-term human health and operational activities. While extraterrestrials have advanced tech that can make it doable. Radiation. Being close to Saturn's radiation belts, Mimas is subject to high levels of radiation, requiring significant shielding for any potential human base. 2. Be built. Resources. While ice could be a valuable resource for water, oxygen, and potential fuel, the lack of other resources and the harsh conditions would make establishing a base complex and costly. Overall, while Mimas is intriguing due to its unique features, establishing a human base there would require overcoming significant environmental and technical challenges. While it could be easier for extraterrestrial races to build a base in Mimas' underground systems with hollowed out features. Okay, this is intriguing. Let's have a closer look what it would take to build a base on the Mimas moon. My brain went, okay, let's do it. Through remote viewing, let's see what can be done here. Building a base on Mimas, Saturn's moon, would involve several significant points of configuration. I went to transport and arrival, spacecraft, developing a spacecraft capable of transporting people and supplies across the vast distance from Earth to Saturn. You need good craft to go there and do it. Advanced craft, something that runs on plasma perhaps, or advanced warp drive systems that don't use fossil fuel. That's what you would need. Landing systems. Designing and testing landing systems that can safely deliver payloads to Mimas' icy surface. Surface construction. Well, or underground construction. It goes underground. Habitat design. Creating habitats that can withstand extreme cold and radiation, possibly using advanced materials or building underground facilities to leverage natural insulation. That's what you would need on Mimas to build a base. Human or ET-run base. What about energy? Implementing energy sources such as nuclear power or advanced solar arrays to provide power in the low light conditions around Saturn. Life support, radiation protection. Building radiation shielding to protect occupants from Saturn's radiation belts. Saturn has radiation belts. Temperature control, developing systems to maintain habitable temperatures and manage the cold. Mimas is a cold place. What about resource management? Water extraction, extracting and processing ice for water, oxygen, and possibly hydrogen fuel. Food supply, establishing sustainable food production systems or reliable supply chains from Earth or from space station. Delivers of goods and supplies. Delivering of goods and supplies. So if you have space station, it delivers goods and supplies. Communication, long distance communication. Setting up communication systems that can handle the delay in data transfer challenges over the vast distance from Earth and other space facilities. Technical and safety challenges, automated systems. Using robotics and automation for initial setup and maintenance due to the harsh conditions and remote location. Health and safety, ensuring robust health care, psychological support, and safety protocols for crew members. Given these challenges, building a base on Mimas would require advanced technology, substantial investment, and careful planning to ensure feasibility and sustainability. Yeah, that's what it would take. Bases on the Tethys moon. Building a base on Tethys, another moon of Saturn, would involve addressing several key factors. Surface conditions. Terrain. Tethys features a surface with significant cratering and ice formations. Construction would need to address these varied terrains, potentially using the ice as a resource. Temperature. With surface temperatures around minus 180 Celsius, minus 292 Fahrenheit, habitats would require advanced thermal insulation. So it would require advanced thermal insulation and heating systems to maintain livable conditions. So advanced thermal insulation and heating systems to maintain livable conditions. That's what would be needed because it's like, well, freaking cold on Tethys. Very cold. So that's what you would need, I guess. Gravity, low gravity. Tethys has a gravity of about 0.14 times that of Earth. This low gravity could impact human health over time, necessitating countermeasures like artificial gravity or exercise regimens. Radiation shielding. Tethys is less affected by Saturn's radiation belts compared to moons closer to the planet, but some radiation shielding would still be necessary. We go to resource utilization. Water ice. The surface of Tethys is rich in ice, which could be processed for water and oxygen and potentially used for fuel. Energy. Solar power might be limited due to the distance from the sun. So alternative energy sources like nuclear power could be more viable in this kind of an environment. Infrastructure, habitat construction, designing habitats that can withstand extreme cold and potential impacts from space debris. Go underground here. To build habitats, life support systems, developing closed loop systems for the air, water, and waste management to support long-term habitation. Again, that requires developing closed-loop systems for air, water, and waste management to support long-term habitation. All right, what do we have here for transportation and communication? Travel. Efficient spacecraft would be needed to transport people and supplies from Earth to Tethys. Communication. Establishing reliable communication systems to handle the signal delay due to the distance from Earth or other facilities. Health and safety, medical facilities, ensuring robust healthcare facilities and systems to handle medical emergencies in a remote environment. So these moons are remote and they would need for having medical facilities to handle medical emergencies in a remote environment. Again, you need psychological support when you're far away from home. Providing support for the psychological well-being of the inhabitants due to isolation and the harsh environmental conditions. Overall, while Tethys offers some advantages such as abundant water, ice, establishing a base there would require, again, overcoming substantial technical, environmental, and logistical challenges. Okay, interesting. Now we go to basis on the Miranda moon. What does Miranda have to offer us? Building a base on Miranda, a moon of Uranus, presents a unique set of challenges and opportunities. Surface conditions, terrain. Miranda's surface is characterized by extreme geological features, including large canyons and ridges. The uneven terrain would make construction complex, requiring specialized engineering solutions. Temperature. Miranda experiences extremely cold temperatures around -200 Celsius, -328 Fahrenheit, necessitating advanced thermal insulation and heating systems for any habitable structures built there. Gravity. Low gravity. Miranda has a surface gravity about 0.09 times that of Earth. This low gravity could affect human health and require mitigation strategies like artificial gravity or exercise routines to stay healthy. Let's look at the radiation factors. Radiation environment. Miranda is situated far from the strong radiation belts of Uranus. So while radiation is less intense compared to moons closer to the planet, shielding would still be necessary. It would still be necessary to protect inhabitants from cosmic radiation. Resource utilization, water and resources. Miranda's surface is primarily composed of water, ice, and rocky material. Ice could be used for water and oxygen, though resource extraction and processing would be challenging in the moon's harsh conditions. Energy. Solar energy would be weak due to the great distance from the sun. Alternative energy sources such as nuclear power would be necessary for sustainable operations to happen. Alrighty, infrastructure. Habitat design. Construction would need to address the extreme cold and potential surface instability. Buildings might need to be partially or fully buried to provide thermal insulation and stability. In other words, build it underground and it will work if built underground. Build underground. Yes, go underground. Life support systems. A closed loop system for air, water, and waste management would be crucial for long-term sustainability. Again, closed loop system for air, water, and waste management would be crucial for long-term sustainability. Transportation and communication. Travel. Reaching Miranda involves a long journey from Earth, requiring advanced spacecraft and robust landing systems. Communication. Establishing communication systems to handle the significant delay due to the distance from Earth would be essential. Health and safety. Medical facilities. Comprehensive medical facilities would be required to handle health issues in the remote and isolated environment of Miranda. Psychological support. Providing support for the psychological well-being of the crew due to isolation and extreme conditions is crucial. Overall, Miranda presents intriguing possibilities. Due to its unique geological features, establishing a base would require overcoming significant technical, environmental, and logistical hurdles. So that's Miranda for us. What about bases on the Enceladus moon? Building a base on Enceladus, one of Saturn's moons, involves addressing several unique challenges and opportunities. Surface conditions. Terrain. Enceladus has a relatively smooth surface with large areas of ice. However, there are also features like fissures and geysers that could affect construction. Temperature. The surface temperature is around -200 Celsius, which is -328 Fahrenheit. Habitats would need to be heavily insulated and equipped with advanced heating systems to ensure a livable environment. Gravity. Low gravity. Enceladus has a gravity about 0.11 times that of Earth. The slow gravity could impact human health over time and may require countermeasures such as having artificial gravity or regular exercise. Radiation protection. Enceladus is closer to Saturn's magnetic field than some other moons, so radiation shielding would be necessary to protect inhabitants from cosmic and Saturnian radiation. Okay, what about resource utilization? Water ice. Enceladus is rich in water ice, which is a significant advantage. The ice could be used for water, oxygen, and potentially hydrogen fuel. The moon's subsurface ocean could also be a potential resource, though accessing it would be complex. Energy. Solar power would be limited due to the distance from the sun, so alternative energy sources like nuclear power would likely be necessary. Infrastructure. Habitat design. So what do we do for habitat design on Enceladus? Habitat design includes the following. Construction would need to account for extreme cold and potential surface instability. Habitats might be built partially or fully underground to provide better thermal insulation and protection from the harsh environment. Life support systems. Implementing efficient systems for air. Again, implementing efficient systems for air, water, and waste management is crucial for sustaining a base over the long term. Geysers and plumes. There's some scientific opportunities here. Scientific opportunities. Enceladus is known for its geysers that eject water vapor and other materials into space. These plumes could be of scientific interest and might offer insights into the moon's subsurface ocean operational considerations. The plumes could also affect base operations and require planning for their impact on equipment and infrastructure. Transportation and communication. Travel. Getting to Enceladus from Earth would require advanced spacecrafts and efficient landing systems. Let's look at communication. Establishing communication systems to handle the significant time delay due to the distance from Earth is necessary. Health and safety. Medical facilities. Comprehensive medical facilities would be essential to address health issues in the remote environment. Psychological support. Ensuring psychological well-being for inhabitants is critical given the isolation and harsh conditions of this moon. Enceladus presents an intriguing prospect due to its potential water resources and scientific interest, but establishing a base would require overcoming significant technological and environmental challenges. Okay, sure. What about bases on the Iapetus moon? What would that involve? Establishing a base on Iapetus, Saturn's moon, would involve addressing several distinctive challenges and opportunities. Surface conditions. Terrain. Iapetus features a varied terrain with one hemisphere covered in dark material and the other in bright ice. This stark contrast results from different surface compositions and would affect construction and energy efficiency. Temperature. Iapetus has a wide temperature range from around -100 Celsius to around 238 Fahrenheit in the dark regions to slightly warmer temperatures in the bright areas. Habitat designs would need to manage these extremes, possibly incorporating advanced thermal control systems. Gravity. Low gravity. With gravity about 0.1 times that of Earth, there would be health implications for long-term habitation. Measures like artificial gravity or rigorous exercise programs would be necessary to mitigate these effects. Radiation. Radiation shielding. Iapetus is relatively far from Saturn's radiation belts, so while radiation levels are lower than on moons closer to the planet, some shielding would still be needed to protect inhabitants from cosmic radiation. Resource utilization. Surface material. The moon's surface is composed of both ice and darker carbon-rich materials. Extracting and processing these materials could provide resources for water and potentially other uses. Energy. Solar energy would be limited due to the distance from the sun. Nuclear power or other energy sources might be more viable for long-term base operations. Infrastructure, habitat design. Habitat design. Given the temperature extremes and diverse surface conditions, habitats would need to be well insulated and designed to handle various thermal loads. Building in the brighter ice-covered regions might offer better insulation against extreme cold. Life support systems. Implementing closed-loop systems for air, water, and waste management is crucial for sustainability. Communication and transportation. Travel. Reaching Iapetus from Earth requires advanced spacecraft and landing systems. Ensuring safe and efficient transportation will be critical. Communication. Establishing reliable communication systems to manage the time delay from Earth due to the moon's distance is essential. Scientific interest. Unique features. Iapetus has intriguing features such as its equatorial ridge and the stark contrast between its hemispheres. These could be of significant scientific interest, potentially influencing the design and objectives of the base. Health and safety. Medical facilities. Comprehensive medical facilities would be needed to address health issues and emergencies in this remote environment. Psychological support. Providing psychological support for the crew is essential, given the isolation and harsh conditions. Building a base on Iapetus would involve overcoming significant challenges relating to its extreme environment and distance from the sun. But it also offers unique scientific opportunities and potential resources. And when we look at all these moons, there's abundance of building structures. We have Earth, we have the moon of Triton, we have Titan, we have Tethys, we have Dione, we have Mimas, we have Rhea, we have Enceladus, we have the Earth's moon, we have Europa, we have Callisto, we have Ganymede, which definitely has bases. Ganymede has many bases. Ganymede is one of Jupiter's moons. We have Io. Io likely also has bases. We have Miranda. We have Titania. We have Oberon, and we have Charon, the moon of Charon. Many, many moons where things could be hopping and busy and happening. We covered 5 of those moons in this remote viewing. And then we have some other things in this remote viewing which are interesting about the ancient builder race. The ancient builder race had evolved out of 3D reality on Venus about 2.6 billion years ago. It seems that the Venusian ancient builder race had most likely built the moons as their defense grid to protect themselves against negative incursions from other beings, and they had been time travelers who have time dilation technology that could create portals, and their plasmatic sphere ships could travel through wormholes to different planets like Earth, where they had left some of their artifacts behind, like the domed bases. First impression: Bosegi Mountains, Romanian secret underground base, and domed structures leading to portals. The Bosegi base in the Romanian mountains is a complex that is part of various connections to tunnel systems with energetic frequencies guarding domed structures underneath what is called the Romanian sphinx. The domed structures are the ancient builder race bases housing bioenergetics laboratories and crystalline labs. The main Beseji base is a hybrid base facility that was designed by several extraterrestrial species having plasmatic portal facilities that provide portal gateways traveling to Tibet, India, Egypt, and into inner Earth highways that gain access to the different dimensional pocket worlds. All the ancient builder race dome bases under the Romanian sphinx have a reflective mirror-like material coating the domes of the bases as a form of camouflage mechanisms so that the bases can remain hidden and not be detected by ground-penetrating radar or satellite systems. So we have the Beseji Sphinx on top, and we have mountain, range, structure stuff going on. We have the other half of the Beseji Sphinx underground with several of these domed bases, portals, tunnel systems connecting all this together, more portals, ancient builder race bases with more portals going underground, deep underground with underground tunnels connecting to the bases and everything connecting together. So the tunnel systems connect the bases together. There's also portals beyond the tunnel systems and this reflective mirror coating technology that camouflages these ancient builder race bases under the Beseji Sphinx. So that's what's going on in the Romanian Sphinx underground. Then we go further into a deeper dive of other things. First impressions, higher dimensional DNA creates non-corporeal living beings that can become semi-corporeal or go into a totally complete human form, yet retaining all aspects of remembering who they are as soul beings. Knowledge depositories with life form based information being stored of how higher consciousness living beings are created in the universes. The Giza and the Beseji higher dimensional archives house the living knowledge systems of how humanoid bodies are created from starlight energy mixed with variants of different frequencies of multidimensional DNA nodes of non-corporeal ET species coming to live in physical bodies. Their DNA is energetic frequency being built into physical DNA strands melded with energetic DNA to create higher dimensional beings, capable of sustaining physical bodies, yet remembering everything that they are as living beings, as whole parts of themselves. Their memories of past, present, and future are never erased, and they will never forget who they are as one soul of the greater part of themselves because of the higher dimensional DNA, which is inbuilt as active cellular memory within their physical DNA and bodies as a safety mechanism to never forget who they truly are. Okay, that's interesting. Knowledge depositories or repositories with life form based information being stored of how higher consciousness living beings created in the universes. That seems very advanced and dynamic in these Giza and Beseji higher dimensional archives. That's what that talks about. So these archives have that stuff about human beings, how different species of beings are created, DNA, higher dimensional consciousness, how that is put together to create an advanced life form, which is mind, body, and soul, but consciousness plays a huge role in the DNA components. And that's what I understand from this. And then we have other things going on. First impressions, holographic system searching for exotic crystalline artifacts or devices. The GEA, G-E-E-A project is a geospatial holographic projection system that searches for rare crystalline artifacts by mapping out the various layers of the Earth and then providing the energy signature findings of where such crystalline artifacts are found, with various anomalies occurring in the soil, waters, lands, and in the air where crystalline artifacts are found, or there are deposits of unusual biochemical or geochemical signatures indicating exotic materials of crashed or hidden spacecrafts that were left by ancient civilizations, which can now be retrieved because everything on the Earth and even in inner Earth can be mapped with the geospatial holographic projection system to find out the exact locations of hot item exotics in the form of advanced crystalline artifacts or technological devices not specifically made from human origin species. Currently, Venus has a group of humanoid-looking beings with light blue skin that are the descendants of the ancient builder race who still live on the planet in domed cities and colonies. Inner Earth has dimensional worlds that exist within their own energetic and frequency-based safe zones, so they are considered pocket worlds within the Earth sphere. The dimensional worlds have natural atmospheres, lakes, oceans, forests, suns, and various humanoid-like extraterrestrial species living within these higher dimensional realities that have physical existences. The ancient builder race domed cities are often located inside mountain ranges and have deep earth elevators that lead to the inner earth portal systems that can transport people to the higher dimensional worlds. Interesting. So now we go to the remote viewing digital whiteboard sessions for target ID ABR4434-1E8848. The ancient builder race have plasmatic sphere spaceships that can travel to other dimensions and planets through utilizing the portal systems and wormholes generated by the plasma fields on the sphere ships. These plasmatic sphere ships act as interdimensional time travel machines exploring various histories of planets and universes that are currently in existence. The plasmatic sphere ships are very large, and some of the spheres travel together, being linked by grid systems, so they look like large colony ships exploring different galaxies and universes. So this is what the ancient builder race plasmatic sphere ships look like, connected together or separate. There were several images of what this looks like, what their craft look like as these spheres, large crafts traveling together or separately, and they're aligned and connected by a gridwork platform system, and they travel as colony ships in space. They travel together. Huge systems, very advanced, complex tech. That's what their technology looked like, their spaceships. And then we had a bit of a different theme going on here of circular crafts that fly around being powered also by plasmatic sources of field warp generators, creating plasma frequencies that extend the shelf life of these crafts, traveling long distances out in the far-reaching star system spanning several galaxies. Distances out in the far-reaching star system spanning several galaxies, long-shaped crafts that house several generations of life forms from different species of beings, varied-shaped-looking humanoids from several different planetary systems, yet they get along well while looking for new homes to relocate to. Many travelers working together in unity to find peaceful solutions for colonizing planets after several planetary disasters, natural and man-made, had taken place in the Milky Way galaxy. Space travel became a regular occurrence while colonizing new worlds and space horizons, as advanced species of beings took to exploring the stars and finding new ways of self-evolving beyond the 3D time-space realities. And this is what some of these plasmatic type circular crafts look like, and elongated crafts that travel to new planets with ancient builder races colonizing new worlds, terraforming planets, moons, hollowing them out and building bases on these worlds and these moons. The Venusian ancient builder race civilization that comes from Venus have light blue skin with blue, green, and golden colored eyes, with white hair, and with the height being 8 feet tall to 10 feet tall. Some of the Venusians have pale, normal-looking colored skin. These Venusians are highly telepathic and talk to each other via telepathy. Some of the Venusians have stripes or white striations on their skin. So I was seeing several Venusian ancient builder race humanoid species, both female and male, different colored eyes, some having lighter blue skin, and having more human-looking skin, blue hair, white hair, interacting with each other. That's what the species looked like. And they lived on Venus and had come to Earth and built these advanced domed bases and had the sphere plasmatic ships, and they traveled exploring the galaxies, exploring the Milky Way galaxy in particular, living together on their colony ships. They all looked humanoid, but obviously extraterrestrial, because the skin color was different, facial appearances were somewhat different. But that's the primary ancient builder race that was in my remote viewing. The ancient builder race had built domed bases and constructed towers to cloak and shield the bases from being detected by satellites and radar systems both on Earth and on other planetary bodies in the Milky Way galaxy. Domed bases are usually built inside mountain ranges, underground, or within hollowed-out moons. There are portal gateways that are interconnected between the domed bases in order to travel to other planets and also into inner Earth. And this is what some of these domed bases looked like. Some of them could actually lift off and travel. They were portable. They were interconnected to each other. And some of them were underground in the mountain ranges or between the mountain ranges. So you can go inside underground into the underground facilities. And some of these had that mirror-like technology protecting the bases themselves, the dome bases. That's what this looked like when these ancient builder race bases were built. And this is the underground structures of the tunnel systems for the ancient builder race bases underground on Earth. This is what these towers look like that cloak and make the bases invisible. This is inside what the bases look like inside hollowed out moons, in moon structures, dome bases, the roofs of the domes on the moon systems. This is inside a moon. Ancient builder race bases inside a moon system. That's what it looks like. Again, inside a moon, building a base. The ancient builder race bases are designed to be self-sufficiently run and to support having full environmental systems where life forms can live for prolonged periods of time on various types of planets, no matter what the ecosystem or atmosphere is outside the base facilities, as well as on moons. This is some of the portal technology that I was seeing that the ancient builder race had, the Venusians specifically. Ancient builder race time dilation and portal travel technology that utilizes plasmatic frequencies to do portal transportation and teleportation to various planets and to activate wormholes in order to travel to other galaxies. So these portals were used for teleportation, transportation, and activating wormholes to travel to other galaxies. There was some golden language there, some silver blue language, and surface level portal technology as well, and wormhole technology. The ancient builder race Venusians had built beautiful domed cities and colonies on Venus when the planet's surface was still thriving, with a full atmosphere, and the living environments were full of clean water, oxygen, and a lush green ecosystem throughout the planet with many forests, many of the forests, lakes, oceans, and animals. All the domed cities are made out of a translucent material that is non-destructible. It's a crystalline technology which is non-destructible, and some of these cities are still intact on Venus to this day because the non-destructible green crystalline material had protected the domed cities from not being fully destroyed in a cataclysmic type of an event that had happened millions or billions of years ago. So this is what the ancient builder race bases and cities looked like on Venus, being protected by this green translucent crystalline technology. This is on Venus. And this is what some of the cities looked like on Venus before the cataclysmic event had hit, with domed structures built on the surface of the planet protecting the cities. There were lakes, there were oceans. Venus was a fully habitable zone planet at one point. And it wasn't too hot or too cold. It was very beautiful and had Venusians living there on the surface in these advanced cities that had domes. Some of these cities were covered with these domes. Some of the moons in the Milky Way galaxy were specifically hollowed out in order to build domed bases inside the moons as a means of creating a grid work of bases that have a network system of having a camouflaged base on several moons that orbit a planet, so there is a defense system to protect the planets. Moons can be created from scratch and made to look like natural planetoid objects, hidden in space and hidden in plain sight. Moons hidden with bases on them in the Milky Way galaxy. Even the moons can be camouflaged so they look somewhat natural, yet they're man-made. And that's what the ancient builder race specialized in doing. The inner Earth has various dimensional frequencies where different worlds and living ecosystems exist beside each other in harmonious balance. These places are 5D and above, so anything is possible to manifest there and to achieve a soul's dreams and accomplishments. There's no limitations in the higher dimensions in these pocket worlds in inner Earth. And that's what inner Earth looks like. Very lush, very habitable, waters, lakes, oceans, diverse environments, their own atmospheres. So it's very livable and habitable in inner Earth. The Giza and Boseji higher dimensional archives show how energetic frequency DNA is mixed with variants of physical DNA aspects in humanoid bodies to create higher frequency living beings, and that the soul vibrates towards such creation in order to experience its multifaceted realities on Earth through these higher dimensional knowledge repositories that are on Earth, as well as on other planets. This allows for having more spiritual learning and progressing on the soul ascension path and the physical advancement of bodies to higher consciousness frequencies. And this is what that looks like: higher dimensional evolution with non-corporeal DNA and physical DNA merging into this higher consciousness of living beings, like 5D realities. This is what that looks like on a higher consciousness level of energetic and physical human evolution. Advancing DNA, advancing consciousness, advancing physical bodies to 5D crystalline bodies. This is what that looks like in reality of evolution and ascension. Higher dimensional ascension, if you will, which these ancient builder race Venusians went through from 3D reality into higher dimensional worlds, realms, consciousness advancement. That's what this would look like, this process. Golden DNA strands, purple DNA strands, higher consciousness DNA, higher consciousness bodies, as they evolved out of 3D and evolved into higher existence on a physical world and beyond the physical world through their evolution. So this is what this remote viewing was all about. Thank you.